With just about the same amount of businesses being formed and dissolved every year, you need to make sure that you're on the winning side. In this podcast, we interview market leaders from global businesses that share their knowledge so that you get on the right path to success. This is the Black Box Business Podcast, and I am your host, Pádraig Canavan. Hello and welcome to the inaugural Black Box Business Podcast. I am your host, Pádraig Canavan, and today we get to sit down with one of the biggest disruptors in the access control industry, the MD, CEO of AES Global, Mr. Paul Creighton. During our interview today, I had the pleasure of talking through what Paul perceives as leadership. It was a fascinating insight, one that I hope you will enjoy. I believe that it is key to any young entrepreneur out there who wants to take this journey. So please sit back and enjoy, and without further ado, let's get on with the podcast. Hello and good morning. Welcome to the inaugural Black Box Business Podcast. My name is Pádraig Canavan and I will be your host today. And kindly joining us is the CEO, MD of AES Global, Mr. Paul Creighton. So thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you for having us, Pádraig. Appreciate being here.
No problem. And as usual, your hospitality is exemplary.
Thank you.
And nice to meet Kyle and some of the team this morning.
Yep.
Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about you and your background, please?
Yeah, so I guess my background and an early passion for me from like childhood, we're going back, is tinkering with stuff, electronics and stuff. So there wasn't a toy I got from like 8 years old that worked after 2 months because, I took this stuff apart, Frankensteined it with something else and tried to put it together. So I think from an early age I knew I was going to be something around the engineering side of things, or something electronic. There was early, I wouldn't say talent, but early curiosity for sure.
Sure. So bits ended up at the other end of the universe?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Why intercoms, Paul?
Well, I suppose it's an interesting story. I actually, with my electronics, college and things like that, went to work for companies, telecoms giant, like Nortel Networks, telecoms giant back in the day. So I got into the electronics sector, but as we all know, sort of through the late 80s, 90s, stuff like that, a lot of your manufacturing went to the Far East. So I got a little bit perplexed with shutdown, factory after shutdown. I was moving jobs and going from one closing down manufacturer to the next.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, well, what can you not outsource to the Far East? And you can't outsource service. You still need local service.
Okay.
So the closest thing that I could imagine closest to my skill set was like CCTV and gate automation and access control. Mm-hmm. So I just started to self-learn how to do this sort of stuff. Spare bedroom was the first office.
As an installer initially?
Yeah, as an installer on the tools. So I was like man in a van out there fitting product and learning the industry from the ground up.
Okay.
And I guess it was from my field experience of doing that hands on the job where I was finding a lot of difficulties, especially around lack of wireless solutions in the market.
Okay.
Where I had a customer who wanted an intercom at a gate that had a lovely tarmac driveway, and they wanted a monitor in their hallway, and this lovely tarmac, and there's this 40 quid a roll wallpaper, 100 quid a roll stuff that you're not tracking this. Sure. And to be fair, I wasn't that fond of a business end of a shovel either. So,
well, we can all be allergic to that at times. But
so I guess I developed a curiosity, what's out there in the market? And I didn't find much. And I thought, there's got to be opportunities here to create product. There was a clear void for me at that time.
What year are we talking approximately, or decade?
2007, stuff like that, or 2005, sort of in around.
So in the business terms, that would be quite recent?
Yeah, I suppose,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Your journey now with a global reach and, quite a lot of branches globally. Do you want to expand on that a little bit and talk us through that potentially stressful time in your life to get you to where you are now?
Yeah.
Can you help us with that and just talk a little bit about your journey with AES?
Sure. So I guess the challenges around growth are similar for all businesses, big, small, or medium. It's getting from zero to hero as quick as possible. You want to do it fast, but you've only so many hours in the week. I can remember as a one-man band, as it were. AES had just one employee, just me, and having to do other jobs like teaching martial arts and stuff, which is a passion of mine. And I was off doing that, like on a Wednesday, for example, teaching in schools, and then seeing my phone ring in the corner. So I did like a quick demo. Here you go. Here's a technique. And then, hello, AES, tech support. How can I help? And then, okay, folks, let's do the next technique and stuff. So, I get it. When you're in business out there and you're doing everything, you're trying to get your money in, accounts payable, all that stuff, and then to start to then grow that into other countries. Stress. Yes, there'd be stress at times, but for me, it was more fun than stress, more exciting challenges, all that sort of stuff. Not without its sleepless nights and big hours and big effort. I think probably first 2 years, it was 7 days a week, solid for first 2 years, no question about it. Answered calls on the day my first child was born, in the hospital and stuff, but we all know, we've all had to do it. So it's a theme for sure. I think one thing I would say to everyone is we all have to take some downtime. You and I talked about hobbies earlier.
Sure.
Where you like going out on the bike. I like quad biking with my kids and stuff because you're ultra focused on that moment, that 1 hour or whatever it is. Every part of your brain is just focused on that really fun activity, which stops you thinking about work. So I think we all have that thing where as soon as you open your eyes in the morning time, it's game on, the music's playing, as you said, and the music doesn't stop till you close them at night. So you need those like respite periods where you change the track to something else. It's a different song playing, and you focus on that, and this is your thing. You got to make yourself do that. I won't lie, I've been times in the past where I've had burnout, where I've just done too much, and I've just been like wiped out, like 9 hours sleep a night just didn't cut it for like weeks and stuff. And you go on a holiday and you feel okay for a while, but then it comes back. So I think it's like a daily maintenance thing. You need to actually, have time for you. I use a nice little metaphor sometimes as well when someone's feeling stressed. Is like, when you're getting on a plane and they do the safety brief, and they, what do they tell you about the oxygen masks when they come down? They say, put your own mask on before you help someone else. So you're no good to your employees, your family, your kids, if you haven't put your own mask on first, taking care of you, and then you can help other people with all of their problems. So you'll get all this stuff coming, your employees coming with their issues, with personal problems. It all comes to you as the business owner or the top person, but I use that phrase lightly. And you need to realize that you need something as well.
We have a bit of a mutual admiration society going on. I'm definitely biased towards AES. We would have been one of this, and still are, a small independent distributor of your product, and that's probably obviously where we first engaged with each other. And I really admire your team and how you've put together a family spirit here.
Yeah.
Obviously, it comes from your own personal leadership and how you set out your stall.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that, or would you have any thoughts for our listeners on that? And
yeah, I mean,
what kind of philosophy are you?
I mean, I think all of
feeding
us.
into?
I think all of us in business, whether it be us, you, our customers out there, all of us are having employment as a consideration. You've got people working for you, and you've got turnover of staff issues. You've got disciplinary stuff. We all have the same problems, no matter what level we're at. It's similar. I always took the view that I didn't really want people to work for me. I wanted them to work for themselves.
Or with you.
Yep. So they should be masters of their own destiny to a certain extent. So from day one, we did like a monthly profit share where a percentage of company profits every month is split between the staff.
Okay.
To try and get that feeling of this is our success, our company, not the Paul show.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing is to assemble the team, and then they will build the business and look after the customers. I can't look after every customer as hard as I try.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I look and go, I haven't spoken to this person
Paul,
in a
you're
year
in
and a
27
half.
countries
Yeah.
currently and growing, So
it's
delegation is
difficult.
an art form.
It's difficult. I think recruitment's an important thing as well. So we don't hire for skills anymore. We hire for heart.
Okay.
So what is in someone's soul What do they believe? What hill is this person on? What's their background? What's important to them? What's in their very fabric of this person's being? And does it fit with the company culture? Are they a giver, a team player? They want to, think about their colleagues more than themselves. All this sort of stuff is really, really important because that translates to customers then as well. If someone's a giver and they're thinking, I really want to help my customer,
Sure.
not just sell them product, it's a great, and a modern thinking approach.
I think it ties into the T-shirt slogan that we spoke about earlier. Givers get given and takers get taken out.
Yeah, for sure.
You're a bit of a disruptor.
Okay, I think that's a compliment for sure, so thank you.
Yes, it's coming from the right place.
Yeah.
A lot of eyes in the industry are on AES.
Yeah.
Again, not to blow smoke, but you've achieved quite a lot in a relatively small period of time, and you've taken on some of the giants of the industry, guys who have had their feet under the table for decades, as opposed to, can we say 10, 12 years?
10 years for this company, installer for maybe 5 years before that. So yeah, we'll say 10.
Okay. And from my perspective, as a result, there's a lot of myths going on about AES. What would you think are the common myths associated about you and what you do?
I guess whenever maybe people see a company logo or hear of a company or a brand name, they're thinking big, massive corporation and a load of guys sitting around in pinstripe suits, Mr. Burns' character said of
bean counting.
But what we would like people to realize is that we're just people. We're just ordinary guys. I was a midstream student at school, just with big ideas and dreams. I'm not anything special. I'm not any smarter than the next person. I have an absolutely amazing team, but they're all really, really good human beings and hard workers and just trying to make something of themselves. So we really like people to see the human side of the business if we can, and maybe a common myth might be that we just kind of landed from space somehow and here we are. But actually I did start out as an installer on the tools. I've been up and down ladders, crawling through mouse droppings in people's roof spaces to fit cameras and stuff, and make no complaints about it. That was great fun most of the time.
While drilling 40 pounds worth of wallpaper with it.
And I suppose when you think about product development and where the ideas come from, they're very much installer-driven ideas from my past and my history.
Sure.
And knowing what feels good to work with on site and what homeowners want as well. Because I've worked with the homeowners directly, and homeowners, like people would say maybe about our look of our products, nice aesthetics. And installers sometimes wouldn't necessarily care too much about that. How much can I pay for this product? Will it give me any issues? What's the backup service? And what can I sell it for? But actually the homeowner has a slightly different perspective. This is the front of their property, nice ornate gates. They've spent thousands of pounds on these lovely big stone piers and stuff. And then you just don't want a metal box just shoved on the front.
They're aesthetic driven.
This is the entrance to your pride and joy. And you have a homeowner who's put their life and soul into this house. This is their life's work. So I get that because I've been there where people have said, have you anything prettier looking, So I think that might be a misconception that, people wouldn't necessarily know that we've came from that very, very humble and very, very practical, hands-on, like Kyle as well. A lot of the guys will know, heads up and has led the tech support team. He was an installer as well. A few of our guys are hands-on background for sure.
Yeah. And, from my conversations with your team down through the years, I appreciate the fact that you're very tech support heavy as opposed to sales and marketing heavy.
Yeah.
It's an unusual balance within the industry from the suppliers that I generally deal with through Black Box.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that a bit more? And
yeah, sure.
Why there? Why? I know it's all customer orientated, but maybe you might give us your thoughts on that, please.
Well, we struggled with this the same as all of our competitors and associates would, where you've got a sales team and then you've got a tech support team. Sales team have got relationships with customers, face-to-face stuff. They like them, they get on, and they sell product. Tech support team here sat there waiting for problems, and all they get all day is a barrage of, negative stuff
Yeah.
and complaints, and you get a difference in morale between the two camps. And
Interesting,
we
yeah.
battled with this for a long time. We don't want two camps, we want this to be one team.
Sure.
So there is no difference between tech support and sales. So starting to train up more our sales team to be more technical.
Yes.
And then getting our technical team to be more sales is a challenge. And again, it came back to hiring for heart. I can train someone to be a tech support person. We can teach them the technical knowledge, but you can't teach heart. You either have it or you don't.
Sure.
So we've looked at that, and we've looked at incentives. So a little tip for, this will help our competitors as well. This is a free one for you guys.
Competitors.
Yeah.
You
So we've done an incentive scheme for the tech support guys, where if they're helping one of your customers today with a problem, and they successfully solve the problem, they're allowed to ask for a rating between 1 and 5 stars.
Sure.
If they get a 5-star rating from the customer for outstanding support, we pay them for that call. So they get their hourly rate plus a bonus of, I think it's like £3 per call.
Okay.
So some of these guys are making as much money as a sales guy now,
Okay.
but they're doing a bloody amazing job.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for that. You spoke quite passionately about the heart of your employees and the team that's around you. Can you expand a little bit more on that for me? Define heart as you perceive it.
I think it's what's in someone's soul. What do they stand for? And I don't mean in work. I mean, what does this human being stand for? What's their belief system? I don't mean religion. I mean their belief system. Do they believe in doing the right thing? Do they believe in helping people, giving something back? Do they believe in achievement? You can't motivate someone who doesn't want anything out of life. We're quite a driven company and fairly young people as well. I mean, average age, I'm going to say here, is like mid to early 30s probably, even in management. So we need to hire people that fit within that cultural space, that get that are also trying to achieve something for themselves and want more out of life and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's the number one thing, and I think it's becoming a bigger problem for people to see a lot of our customers out there, install companies, talking about unable to get good staff. And I think what they mean is they're struggling to get cultural fit. They're struggling maybe to get people that are driven or have their belief system and stuff. So it's going to become a bigger problem, I think, in the future for sure.
So politely, you're saying they may need to look at themselves first. Is that a bit harsh?
In some cases, potentially, yes. We all have to look at ourselves. I've had to do that. Just actually, we talked about this earlier as well, where I've just finished a 10-month-long leadership program. And you might think, well, you've been doing this for 10, 15 years. Why now? Well, to me, every day is a school day. I do not know everything. In fact, I would say I know very little about leadership, but I'm happy to learn more. And I think, there's another mindset or heart thing that I believe in. I don't want people that are this is what we do and we've always done it this way. That's not interested in that. I'm far more interested in trying something new, risky, different, edgy. Colour outside the lines is a phrase we use here a lot. So we're quite proud of that, to be different and to be unique and not fit within a certain fixed mould and be a change catalyst. This year we just totally threw out our whole accounting system and our MRP system, all a very long and old established brand, and totally replaced it all with cloud-based stuff. Big brave step, but that's what we do for sure.
So Paul, why is the equipment you produce and the work that you do so important?
I guess from, we talked about heart and a human perspective. I believe we're solving problems. We're making, if you think about the end use of our products, they're solving security problems, making people feel safe, feel secure, giving them control. I think that's, a human side to the business. The innovation that we do is really, really important. Maybe one of the benefits we have of being in so many countries is we get little input ideas of innovation from different countries that you wouldn't normally see just in your own native market. For example, in the US market, it's quite common for a homeowner to say on a GSM-based intercom, I want a text every time my gates are open because I'm not there. I've got a pool guy, I've got a housekeeper, I've got a gardener. I know first world problems, right? But they want to know, my gates were opened and stuff. And then if there's some unusual activity time, And that's where like time clock stuff came in our cellular stuff, where they wanted to say, well, my pool guy comes on a Wednesday between 9 and 1. I don't want him to be able to use his PIN code any other time, because he shouldn't, what if he gives it to his mate down the pub? He comes back at 3 a.m., empty the garage, as they call it. So that's driven a lot of ideas into product innovation that has given people stuff that they didn't know they wanted. As Henry Ford said, if I had to ask people what they wanted, they'd have said faster horses. So sometimes we come out with an idea and people are like, whoa, this is great. Didn't know we wanted that, but we do.
Sure.
So we're very grateful that we get customer feedback. And for me, that's why I still like going to exhibitions and going and visiting distributors and going to see installers in some countries as well, just to get FaceTime with them, to actually get face-to-face critique and feedback. We don't really like this about your product. Could you make it do that? This would be easier. That screw's a bit footery. Could you make it bigger? You get that sort of real, and it's really useful stuff. It feels like sometimes you're getting beat up a little bit, sometimes, but it all then goes into making the product better for the customer. I'm really happy personally. What gives me most joy of all is a customer calls us up to say, whoa, that's great. You guys were the first to do this. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know why no one else thought about this. That's why I do this. That is just the most fun that I could possibly have in a whole year, is just to have something that's first.
Perfect. Yeah, I subscribe. Yeah, it's good. Slightly different feel now. I have a three-parter for you. What's the most important thing you've learned in your life? What was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it? Maybe so bold.
It's a good question for sure, but it's got me thinking about very recent stuff that I've done on a leadership program. Okay. So being a company owner, as a lot of our audience will be perhaps, it's very easy to feel like you need to have all the answers. So all the problems the customers come to you, your staff come to you, the bank manager comes to you, the accountant, and it all sort of rests on your shoulders. So one thing that I've learned very recently is you don't need to always have all the answers. You don't look weak to your staff because you say, I don't know. In fact, it looks authentic, it's believable. They'll say, okay, and they'll actually maybe help you more. If you look like you have all the answers, they just continue to ask all the questions. Sometimes, I don't know, what do you think we should do? It's actually very, very powerful to answer a question with a question. So I've learned that pretty recently. What was my life like before? Overwhelmed is a thing you can get. From having started to take these changes recently, I would say a little bit of freedom comes from that, and a new sense of faith in my team, because you know what? When I've delegated a lot more responsibility and said to people, I actually don't know that, why don't you go find out? They've actually surprised me. These people have really, really I have a great team here. I believe heart and soul in the people I have. They're, I would say, the best team. But they've really, really stepped up even still and surprised me further, and I didn't think you could get better, but you can. So I would say that's been one of the biggest lessons I've learned, certainly in life generally. And that spills over into your home life as well. When there's a problem with maybe daughter comes home from school and there's an issue with a teacher, you don't always need to know, but you can sit down and talk about the problem and figure it out together. What
do you perceive to be your unique skill or skills that have helped you on your path of success?
Unique? I wouldn't even say I have any skills of any sort, never mind a unique one. But all joking aside, probably this is a strange one. I've been asked this before, and I would say my probably biggest strength is that I know my weaknesses, and I'm really happy with them. I'm settled with them. I'm good with them. So it allows me to make good hiring decisions, to hire for my weaknesses. So hire people that are strong in things I'm bad at. So I have very poor organizational skills. I'm not organized type of a character. I like to just jump into different ideas and just go a million miles an hour, but not have a lot of structure. So you'll find my team are very structured, they're very organized, and they make up for my shortcomings. So I'd say my biggest skill is perhaps, if I might be so arrogant to say so, is knowing my weaknesses. Okay. I don't know if that's an inverse answer, but it's what I believe for sure.
It's definitely the truth, Paul.
Yeah, for sure.
I grant you that.
Yeah.
You and I had spoke off camera about leadership, and I know it's for me it's a bit of an ask personally, along the lines of probably what makes you think you're a leader, but it's important in the scheme of what entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
I'd really be interested to ask you to flesh that out a little bit more, if you don't mind.
For sure.
Yeah, leadership, please, Paul.
So you know, I've been thinking about this a lot, especially this year, and I realised that no one ever wakes up one morning and saying, "I want to be a leader." No child ever was asked the question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" and they say a leader. It doesn't happen. You become a leader, and sometimes you become a leader even if you don't want to be one. It just kind of happens. You know, you fall into a position. We'll have people who maybe, like myself, were forced to go self-employed because of, you know, employment shutdowns, you know, redundancies and stuff. So they didn't do it by choice; they just sort of had to. Some people maybe have taken over a business from, you know, their second generation, and they've kind of been thrust into it with you know, as a family member. So I don't think there's a such thing as a leader type. I think we all have it in us, and there's so many different types. I don't think there's just here's a leader and here's not a leader. I think we can all be leaders, good, bad, and indifferent. But I think it's just about playing on your strengths, leveraging your strengths. And I use a phrase, "What would even better look like?"
Sure.
So if you're good at something, well, that's great. But how could you be even better at that? And something that you're crap at, just forget it. What's the point in beating your head off a brick wall to try and be good at something you're awful at, when you could just hire for that and empower someone else to do, like, accounts or something like that? Like, oh my God, no. Yeah. I don't even want to see our accounts. Like, just let someone else do that stuff. I'll focus on the fun R&D and all that sort of stuff, do what I'm good at. Because I think if you take a weakness, let's say there's a particular trait and you're only 10%, right? That's your number, that's where you're at with this weakness. Trying to get that to 15% could be an extreme amount of effort, and you still only went from 10 to 15%. But maybe take something you're 80% that you're really good at, you can get that to 90 with ease because it's already a skill and you can just tweak it. So I think there's no such thing as a leader. I think we can all be leaders if we want to, and it's just about leveraging strengths, I think.
Paul, what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
I suppose when I'm having fun. You know, if you look at we did a survey with all our staff and asked them to give us words that represent our current company culture. Like if it's ambitious or positive or stressful, whatever the words are. So we collated that, and we looked at that, and we tabulated it to see what the top 6 were. And then we asked another question, what do you want it to be? And we tabulated that. And we took the top 6. We put that on like a wall graphic and published it and stuff. And customers and stuff have seen this. But I added one of my own in there, right, as the business owner, and I was surprised it didn't make the short list. I added fun as the top 1 because I think when you're having fun, that's where the magic happens. If you love what you do, you've heard it before, you'll never work a day in your life. So this to me is my hobby. And believe it or not, if I wasn't having fun doing this, if I woke up tomorrow morning and this wasn't good, I just turned the key in the door. Sorry folks, we're going to truck on. I'm going to do something else. It's finished. So having fun inspires me. Achieving things inspires me. You know, I had a very wise grandmother, a real philosopher in her day. She said, if you can, you should. So her, suppose, belief system in life was, you shouldn't waste an opportunity. If there's something you can do, you should do it. So if you could be number 1 in cycling, be number 1 in cycling, but just don't let that opportunity slip by, because you've got a life, it's a gift. Make it count. The egg timer's spun over here, the sand's rattling away. I figure I'm 42, so I'm about halfway through, perhaps. I'm shooting for 90, though.
Well, that good lady was 103, I think.
Yeah, my great aunt. So you've got a certain amount of time left. What are you going to spend it on? And what are you going to achieve in that time? I think what inspires me is goals and objectives. So they're not like corporate goals of X amount of million turnover and this, that and the other. It's like life goals. I want to go and see this country, I want to go there, I want to do this with my kids. I took a flying lesson there for the first time, which actually was really, really cheap. It's like cheaper than a night out, who knew? And I thought, well, that's fun, that's a good thing to tick off the box to say you've got a pilot's license, like why not?
It would make it easier for you to come over to Carlisle and visit me.
Yeah, if you've got a field nearby, we can, not like a drug dealer field, but
no, definitely no drug dealing.
Yeah,
no.
for sure. Yeah.
An old chestnut. If you could turn back the time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
Listen more in school. So I definitely would be on the ADHD spectrum. Both my kids are officially diagnosed. And I was looking out the window dreaming of, I was away, I was like 10 years ahead, thinking of the future instead of the here and now. And if I could talk to my 18-year-old self or any 18-year-old now out there, get into the game, get refocused. If you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's, rules for success, when you're out there partying and horsing around, he said, someone out there is getting smarter, stronger, faster, leaner, quicker when you're partying around. So, yeah, you got to have fun when you're young, but you should have fun your entire life. And if you knuckle in hard and, make it count, you'll have much more fun later on, but just don't waste it. Don't waste those young years and think, sure, I'm young, I've plenty of time. No, you don't. And you don't know what time you've got, so make it count, get in there. I would have worked harder in school. I was a midstream student because I was just like, yeah, whatever, kind of like drifting off to the future too much instead of, what was right in front of me, for sure. So.
And finally, what is your best tip for aspiring entrepreneurs that are good enough to tune in and listen to us too?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I've done like seminars with schools here locally where my old secondary school asked me to come in and do careers talks and stuff. I don't know if there was any wisdom in what I said, but anyway, they asked me for sure. And I can remember asking all the kids, put your hand up if you think you're going to get like A's, straight A's. So a number of kids put their hands up. I'm like, great, you guys are going to be scientists, doctors, lawyers, wonderful, you're going to have a good standard of income, great. Put your hand up if you're going to get mid grades, like, sort of C's and D's and stuff. So like bigger group put their hand up kind of sheepishly. And I'm like, you guys will be okay too. Some of you will have regular jobs. Some of you will get into trades and actually do quite well. And some of you will start companies and employ those really smart people up at the front that are going to make you millions. And the teachers were like, what? He said, what? But it's so true. Entrepreneurship is not an option that's presented to school kids today. It's just like, go to university and get a good job, or leave school and go work in a factory or be a tradesperson and get a trade. But actually there's another option out there. Start a business, change the world, make people's lives better, get fulfillment, employ people, do something for your community. That's all down the entrepreneurship route, and they don't talk about that because they don't really know much about it, and it's a big option for sure. And there's so many kids out there that struggle with the academics and could be amazing entrepreneurs. I mean, people like Bill Gates and different notable ones who are like graduate or university dropouts and stuff. They say, and we just need to think a bit more about that. It's not the be all and end all. I'll leave you with a quick story. We have a guy who came here to work in the factory, a production job, just like a kind of an operator job. And I was in the interviews at this time because I like the talent spot sometimes. And I was asking this guy, right, okay, yeah, great, all the official questions are out of the way. What are you into? What do you like? What do you love? What's your hobby? What makes you tick? And this guy says to me that, I would go on eBay and find broken electric guitars. He used to play in a band. Find these, ones that aren't working anymore, not functional. He would buy them, repair them and sell them and turn a small profit. And I was like, really? And what else? And he said, well, friends and different people I would know locally would get me to fix computers and stuff for them. And I was like, when can you start? So he started in production. Now this guy, before we got him, he was a carpet fitter. He fitted carpet, no qualifications, left school when he was 16, carpet fitter for 20 years, but had these passions, right? And this is what we were talking about earlier about heart. What's in someone's heart? What's in their belief system? But I could see this guy had heart for something. He now develops all our apps, and he just moved to Florida to represent AES to do tech support stateside on a 5-year visa program. So poor guy sunning it up in, you know, the Sunshine State in Florida. You know, hard paper around his head for sure.
Sure.
And no qualifications, zero. But he's done this, and it's him that done it, not me. I've just provided some opportunities. He's the one that took them for sure. So this guy would have been sitting developing apps at night at home on the laptop, and then coming in and showing me, like, we could do this and this and this. And whoa.
Yeah. So it was an autodidacte, self-learned.
Yeah, self-learned. Yeah, don't underestimate that for sure.
Sure. Paul, how do people connect with AES and engage with your company?
Well, I guess people can connect with, you know, we've got area sales reps, we've got our website, aesglobalonline.com, you've got great distributors like Blackbox and lots of others that out there as well. You know, people can connect with me as well personally, and people regularly do. You'll get me on LinkedIn mostly, even on a Sunday where I'm like kind of bored, so like I'll chuck stuff up there. So feel free to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn for sure. Follow our feeds. You know, we'll be on Twitter, even Instagram and stuff as well these days. And, you know, there's email addresses, stuff on the website. And of course, as I say, the local area sales reps. And they're all on the website as well, so you can see who all our people are, the photographs and kind of their territorial reach and stuff as well. So,
okay.
So,
Mr. Paul Creighton, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
So that was Paul from AES Global, a very insightful interview. I hope you enjoyed it. At this point, I'd like to thank Paul and his team, and also everyone for listening. And just a reminder that this podcast is sponsored by Black Box Security Solutions, a leader in supplying access control equipment in Ireland and the UK. And for further information, please log on to blackboxsecuritysolutions.co.uk. And if you like what you heard, please subscribe and like. And we look forward to the very next one. Thank you again for your time. I am your host, Pádraig Canavan, and we will be doing this on a regular basis.